Blast me to Kjalma's skull! It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. Issue 67, Part 2, Battle Report. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So here we are with issue 67's Battle Report. And it's quite a doozy. So let's remind ourselves of the mission. So our mission is to complete the scan. So we have our 4 objectives where we got to complete the Auspex Array action. And then we score points depending on how many units start and finish the action. So we also have taken hold, so we score 5 points anyway for holding each of the objectives and for satisfying these conditions. And also we can't deploy our reinforcement units within 3 inches of an objective marker. So there we have it. So let's have a look at our armies. We have 75 power to mess around with. And I think I've maximised myself on both sides. So let's start with the Necrons. So for my 75 power, I've just used a single 50 plus power detachment. And I've gone for pretty much everything that we've got, except for a few, and I've even doubled up on some items. So starting with my HQ choices, I've got the Overlord, who will be my Warlord. He is backed up with his Royal Court in the form of 2 Crypt decks, a Royal Warden, and then we have the Scorpec Lord there, just to add some menacing power. So we also have, for the troops then, we have 10 Warriors with Flayers, 10 with Reapers, and 10 Immortals. Moving on to our fast attack, we just have 2 squads of 3 bases of Scarabs. Then everything else is pretty much elites. So we've got 2 Spiders to back up each squad of Scarabs. Unit of Crypto Thralls to bodyguard the Chronomancer there. Scorpec Destroyers of a Plasma Sight. Unit of 5 Flayed Ones. And a Reanimator. So I've gone for superiority with numbers here. And I think my game is to try and bulk up 1 unit on top of the home objective and sending out units onto the other ones. So fast and durable units such as the Spiders and the Scorpec Destroyers will be beneficial to that. Flayed ones are there mainly just to drop in and harass the enemy's deployment zones. I know I can't drop within 3 inches of an objective, but I should be able to drop somewhere nearby to hopefully interfere with the opponent's decisions. So yeah, Chronomancer will be here. Chronomancer's going to be here to buff the units along with the Reanimator, and the Technomancer will be bodyguarding the Warriors, I think, helping to keep them alive as they seek out other objectives. So there we have the Necrons. So let's take a look at my Imperium detachment. I forgot to mention before we move on to the Imperium, the Technomancer here has been upgraded with the failsafe overcharge, as he's going to be in charge of a lot of Crypt deck deck constructs. And my Chronomancer here has been upgraded with the ever useful Photonic Transubjector. Excuse me. Right, so for my Imperium force, I've gone for a pretty much as even split as I can between the forces. So starting off with my HQs then, I've got the Primaris Captain, the Primaris Lieutenant, the Tech Priest Dominus and the Engine Seer, and the Canoness there for my Battle Sisters. I'm also just using a single 50 plus power detachment, as I did try doing it as a 50 and a 75 and found myself falling a little short on points in the 25 power. So I've just gone for the 50 plus power, as I didn't realise actually when I started writing the list that it was a 50 plus detachment, not just a 50. But enough rambling. Moving on to the troops then. So we've got the 10 Assault Intercessors here, 10 Battle Sisters, 10 Skitarii, 3 Cataphrons, and just because I wanted to try them out again, the 10 Infiltrators. For our fast attacks, we've got 2 units here. So we've got the Outriders for the Space Marines and the Seraphim for the Battle Sisters. And finally for the elites, we've got a squad of aggressors. I haven't took any upgrades on any of my characters or anything, so everything is just pretty much basic. So the force is pretty well spread between the 3 different sub-factions we have. And I think my main target, my main battle tactic is going to be keeping at least one objective at the home base secure, and the others will be simply focused on by spreading out my other forces. So I've got my fast moving Outriders and the Seraphim who can Sky Strike to drop down on far off deployment zones. I'm thinking the Admech, as they are the slightly squishiest units, they will probably sit at home and protect, while everything else with a little bit more durability will venture forth and take out the opposing forces when they meet them. So yeah, not too sure if I'm going to combat squad my Infiltrators and Assault Intercessors, but it didn't work too well last time, so I think I'll probably keep them as full 10-man squads. Right then, time to set up the battlefield and deploy our forces for this mission. Okie dokie, we have deployed and we're ready to begin first turn. So for deployment wise, the Necrons have gone for a heavy reinforcements. They've got the Scorpec Lord and the Scorpec Destroyers in reserve, strategic reserve, ready to come on. They've put the Plasma Sight and the Flayed ones in the transdimensional location, ready to pop in at a later turn. They've split their force as evenly as they can, what's left. So we've got the Necron Warriors and the Spider there on one flank, ready to go for the objective over here. The Immortals, the Reanimator, Overlord, and the Chronomancer with his bodyguard there. Behind the building is the Royal Warden, and then we've got the Warriors, Scarabs, Spider, and the Technomancer there. On the Imperium side, we've got the Outriders ready to jet off after that objective behind the crate there. Battle Sisters ready to deal some damage to the Necrons. We've got a big defensive force on our home objective here with the Rangers, Aggressors, Captain, Lieutenant, and the Assault Intercessors. Then we got the remaining part of the Adeptus Mechanicus force here ready to go off and back up the Infiltrators who have infiltrated themselves there on the objective. But as we're not scoring any points on first turn, this is just really a bait and switch sort of tactic. So we're going to hopefully get the enemy in position and eliminate some of their forces. Necrons won the roll-off for first turn and have elected to go second, so making the Imperium have to go off on the front foot, as it were. So, right, that's pretty much everything set up. So we've got some dramatic reading before we begin our first turn. The Auspex Array. Somewhere beneath the rad-blasted mountains of Kjalma's skull lie a power source of incredible power. The Adeptus Mechanicus has learned commanders believed this energy source holds the key to defeating the Necrons. If they are to trace its location, they must activate a series of Auspex towers. The Necrons, realizing the threat posed by the Adeptus Mechanicus' primitive technologies, march forth to interrupt their foe and prevent them from realizing their objective. Sunder their machinery. The Overlord's cryptic advisors concerned at the humans' activities have petitioned the commander to strike before the foe can complete their works and divine the exact location of and nature of their dolmen gate. The legions have been mustered and now make their way towards the combat zone. Complete the scan. The Adeptus Mechanicus and their Adeptus Sororitas and Adeptus Astartes allies have established a defensive perimeter around the Auspex towers. They must activate these devices and then protect them long enough for the scan to be completed. The Necrons must be held back if this task is to be completed. So, ready for Imperium turn 1. So the first thing we've got to do is cover anything that's activated. So the Necrons have decided to activate Protocol of the Southern Storm and going with Directive 1, so we have the +1 inch to our movement. For the Sisters of Battle, they've gone for Divine Guidance, as it's probably the best one for a lot of the forces we have. I'm not activating any of the imperatives, but I am activating the Canticle for Invocation of Machine Vengeance, giving us 2d6 for rolls and 3d6 for charges. So, with that set, here we go then with Imperium turn 1. Okay, end of the Imperium movement phase, and so far everything has just repositioned themselves slightly. The Outriders have moved towards the objective and keeping themselves in plenty of cover so they can't be targeted very well. The Battle Sisters are determined to go and destroy the warriors over there, so I've advanced towards the centre lines. Pretty much everything here stayed in position, ready to fight for the home turf. The infiltrators have advanced into the building, ready to activate the action on there. The aggressors are on the action over here. And then everything here has advanced, so they won't be able to do much in the way of shooting, but they are in a position to back up the infiltrators as and when they are needed. So moving on to the Imperium shooting phase, and we've only really got one unit that's shooting, and that'll be the Battle Sisters there. So we'll just do that, and I'll be back with the results. So we've got a Storm Bolter in rapid fire, 1 Bolt Gun in rapid fire, and we scored 6 on our D6 Flamer shots. So the Flamers automatically hit. Everything else is hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s. So you've got a 1 on the Storm Bolter and a 1 on one of the bolt guns. So the 2s don't hit. And everything is strength 4, toughness 4, the warriors. So we want 4s. And 6s are an extra AP. So we got 4 6s at -1, and everything else there has wounded the warriors for a regular armor save. So we got their 4-up armor, 2 gone, not too bad, that's pretty good. And then this is a 5-up armor, and not so good. So 6 reanimation rolls on a 5-up. Re-rolling 1s, and that one's cocked. into 2 more ones, but 2 come back, so we lose 4. So with that shooting phase done, it's the end of the Imperium's turn, and we're ready to move on to the Necrons' turn 1. End of the Necrons' movement phase, and pretty much all the command abilities went on the Immortals there. I got 3 warriors back with the Rites of Reanimation. The warriors moved into the ruins a bit more, ready to shoot at the Sororitas. Spider and Scarabs have moved that way. Over here, the other warriors and the Scarabs and Spider have moved in to swarm this objective. So, onto the Necrons shooting. And there'll be quite a bit, most of it focused on the Battle Sisters. And most of the Immortals are in range of the Cataphrons here, so they're going to try and shoot at them. Okay, end of the Necrons shooting, and the poor Battle Sisters have been decimated with Gorse Fire. And also the Lance, Staff of Light Lance from the Technomancer there. He actually managed to kill 2 with his 3 shots, so that's pretty cool. Well, not for the sisters anyway. So the poor sisters are already crippled enough to need a morale test, and there's a good chance they'll fail. The Necron Immortals blasted away one of the servitors there, and the combination of the warriors and the spider have killed 3 of the infiltrators there, so they will also need a morale test. So, on to the fight phase. There's going to be a few charges, namely the Scarabs into the infiltrators, which will force them to fail the action. And I forgot to do activating action over there for the Necrons, so ouch. Okay, that's going to hit me in the long run. But anyway, on to the charge phase and the fight phase. Okay, end of the Necrons' turn, and things haven't gone too badly. The sisters have held their own in the fight phase. Both sides scored 0 hits. Unfortunately, the infiltrators have lost a further 2 of their number, putting them down to 5. So, not looking good there. So it's time for some morale tests. So, for the Battle Sisters, they will drop their Miracle Dice. Because, actually, no, even if they drop that, it will be a fail. Because 2 plus 6 is, I don't know, 8, that'll be fine. So, yeah, I will drop that. No, it's not 8. It's 7. So 9, that's going to be a fail. I need a 1, so I'll keep my Miracle Dice. I need a 1. No. So that's failed. 1 Battle Sister runs away, so I will run away the Flamer. And then combat attrition tests. Both passed, even with a -1. Phew! And morale test for the Cataphrons, they're probably going to pass, because I believe they're 10. Seven. So yeah, they'll pass either way. So Cataphrons, 6 plus 1 is 7, they're fine. And finally, the Infiltrators, 5 plus 5 is a 10, that's a fail. So we lose 1, and then 4 combat attrition tests. One more guy flees, and the rest are fine, even with a -1. So the Infiltrators aren't doing too well, I'm afraid. That is it for morale tests. Well, the Warriors there did lose 1 guy, but they won't fail. So remove all the markers. And we're ready to begin Imperium turn 2. Alright, as we go into turn 2, The Necrons are moving over to Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant. We'll go for the extra range on our aura abilities. So I'll get a nice boost to a lot of units, hopefully still. And for our Cataphrons, we are going to go into Benediction of the Omnisire, so we're going to get some nice rerolls this turn for them. Right, here we go then with Imperium turn 2. So, end of the Imperium's shooting phase. So, during the reinforcement step of the movement phase, the Seraphim came in. They opened fire on the warriors, killing one. They went into the shooting phase and managed to kill another 3, but 1 got back up. The Cataphrons then devastated the Necron warriors, leaving them with just the 6 that you can see there. Pistols didn't do anything against the Scarabs. The Volkite killed a single Immortal, so that's pretty cool there. The Bolt Pistols killed a single Necron, but he got back up over here. The Canoness has moved into an easy charge range. Over there, the Bikes killed 1 base of Scarabs and wounded another. And over here, the Sutari moved out, kicked up the Galvanic Volley Fire stratagem, so they didn't suffer the -1s to their Galvanic rifles, and shot at the Royal Warden there hiding in the ruins. They managed to do 3 wounds, all of which came from the Arquebus, who managed to actually hit even with a -1. So it's definitely done its duty. So he will heal 1, but there's a good chance he could die anyway. So moving on to the Imperium's charge phase. So moving on, we've just finished the Ultramarines fight phase, and well, things aren't looking too bad. We're down to only just 2 infiltrators here, sadly, but the Cataphrons and Tech Priests have come in to help with that fight. The Spider did kill the 1 infiltrator that was in base contact with it, so they are free of being butchered by him anymore, so he's just got to focus on the Tech Marine. Over here, the Canoness charged in and managed to dispatch 2 warriors. The Sisters managed to dispatch an extra 1. And the Outriders over there wiped out the Scarabs. Seraphim failed their charge, but the Cataphrons made up for it. So we're moving on to Necrons turn 2. And I forgot to mention the Ultramarines scored 6 points, 5 for holding an objective, and 1 for completing the action with 1 unit. Although technically I didn't shoot with them, but there's an enemy unit in range of the objective, so I can't score. Otherwise, I would have been fine. There we go then. Right, on to Necrons turn 2. Okay, end of the Necrons movement phase, and everything's moved up. The reinforcement step, the Scorpec Destroyers and the Scorpec Lord came on over on the far battle corner there. Flayed ones dropped in just over there, out of the way of any potential fire risk. Ready to come in and chop up some Skitarii. The Spider over here managed to heal the Scarab base in the command phase. Didn't get any warriors back as I was a little bit out of range for the rites of reanimation. And over here everything went on the Immortals, and the Immortals started doing the objective. So they're not going to be doing much this turn. The Royal Wardens slunk away and recovered a wound, getting out of the range of any enemy guns there. Right, moving on then to the Necrons shooting phase. End of the Necrons shooting phase, and we've had not a lot happen. I forgot about the warriors over there, so I moved them out and shot with them, wiping out the Seraphim. Not a lot of pistol weapons to shoot. The Spider over there did a single wound to the Outriders, and the Scorpec Lord did 2 wounds to the Outriders. So one guy has a single wound left. And pretty much that was it. So it's moving on then to the Necrons charge phase. And things are hopefully going to get a little bit bloody out over there. So, here we go then. End of Necrons turn 2, and they are really starting to claw back a bit of a victory. So, the bikers have lost a single model and wounded the spider in return. So they will need a morale test, even though they'll pass. Yeah, 5 plus 1 is a 6, they're fine. The warriors lost a single warrior, so again they can't fail because they're on a 10. Infiltrators didn't lose anything. Scarabs lost a base, but again they'll pass automatically. The Tech Priest Dominus was wounded. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The Scorpex and the Flayed ones have yet to do anything, but they're going to get their turn next turn. And yeah, the Necrons will complete their action on the next command phase. There wasn't much the Necron Immortals could shoot at anyway, so it's worth them just sitting around and doing nothing. So, moving on then to Imperium turn 3. So, moving into Imperium turn 3, the Necrons are going into Protocol of the Vengeful Stars, and are going for the improved armor penetration on shots there. The Canticles are shifting up to Chant of the Remorseless Fist, so an extra pip of strength for our Cataphrons. And I'm finally going to go into the Protector Imperative, so an improved ballistic skill and worsened weapon skill for the Skitarii. We're also getting a new miracle dice, which is a 2. So, here we go then with Imperium turn 3. So, in the movement phase, the Skitarii Rangers have just moved out, so they can see the Flayed ones a bit better. The only one I can't see is the Arc, which I'm not too bothered by, but I'm in range for the Phosphor Pistol, which is good. Here, the Ultramarines, Assault Intercessors, and Captain and Lieutenant finally decided to move out into the open space of the battlefield, and moving to aid the Battle Sisters. Other than that, not a lot of other movement, so we're moving on to the Imperium shooting phase. Imperium shooting phase is over, and the Skitarii have wiped out the Flayed ones there. Dropping 2 command points again for Galvanic Volley Fire was well worth the investment. 22 shots at Rapid Fire 2 just obliterated the Flayed ones. They didn't have a chance at all. They did manage to get back up from a plasma shot. So, was that. Everywhere else, I killed 2 warriors with pistols from the Battle Sisters and the Canoness there in combat. And nothing. And I did 1 wound to a base of Scarabs with a bolt pistol. Other than that, it's now moving on to the charge phase, and the Assault Intercessors are going to help the Battle Sisters out and get stuck in there. And yeah, we'll hopefully see the results of some of the other combats that have been going on for quite some time. So here we go with the fight phase and charge phase. End of the Imperium's turn 3, and they have cleared these Necron warriors and the Cryptek at the centre there. The Assault Intercessors had a massive amount of attacks, and neither foe could withstand it. The rerolls from the Captain helped, so that's a lot beneficial for the hitting, at least, of the enemy. Sadly, I didn't get the Lieutenant in range enough to give them the rerolls to wound, which would have also been helpful, but not needed. And over here, the Engineer and Dominus, well, the Dominus anyway, destroyed the spider. It blew up with, well, actually it didn't blow up. What am I saying? It didn't blow up. So he just consolidated towards those warriors. And the lone base of Scarabs blew up with the self-destruct stratagem. And he took the last 2 infiltrators, giving them 3 mortal wounds. So, poor infiltrators, they have not had a very good outing in their first few games. But either way, it's freed up the tech priests and the Cataphrons there, ready to do some damage to the warriors. But it is now the Necrons' turn 3. And the Scorpex are going to come in and do some serious damage to those poor bikers. So here we go with Necrons' turn 3. End of the movement phase, it was very quick. It is literally the Scorpex moving, and that was it. So moving on to Necrons shooting. So that's it for the shooting phase. The Necrons shot up, the warriors here shot up and destroyed the Cataphrons, leaving only one. The Enigmatic Annihilator from the Destroyer Scorpic Lord killed 2 Skitarii, and other than that, that's about it. Everything else has been out of range. The Royal Warden fluffed 2 shots at the Dominus. So now we're moving on to the Necrons fight phase. And there we have it, that's the end of the Necrons turn 3. And the Scorpic Lord alone managed to wipe out those poor Outriders. He hits all 4 of his attacks using his Harvester. Even the -1, he managed to score all of them. He had a reroll though, thanks to Hardwired for Destruction. And with his wounding, he did 3 wounds out of those 4, which was 9 damage in total. So those poor bikers could not even save. Because of the -4, poor things were totally wiped out. And now it's on to the Imperium turn 4. Moving in to turn 4. The Necrons now shift to Protocol of Undying Legions. And I think, seeing as they ain't got much in the way of 1 wound models, I think we'll go with the additional wound restoring for living metal. Adeptus Mechanicus, Cataphrons, and the Tech Marines are going into Listening of Electromancer, so -1 for the enemy to hit them. And I think the Skitarii are going to go to the Bulwark Imperative, so +1 to their save. And this is new battle round. We gain a new miracle dice, which is a 3. So here we go with Imperium turn 4. Okay, end of Imperium movement phase 4. The Skitarii have pulled back 3 inches, ready to do some damage to the Scorpex coming their way. The Assault Intercessors and Adeptus Oratos have strategically pulled back a little bit, ready to receive a charge, though the Sisters are going to try and avoid combat for the moment, as their numbers are dwindling. In the command phase, the aggressors here activated the objective again, and the Tech Priest Engine Seer activated it over here. The Dominus and the Cataphron moved out and ready to intercept the Necron warriors there. So, also the lieutenants moved up ready to help buff the assault intercessors when fighting starts. So, here we go with the Imperium shooting phase. End of the shooting phase, the Skitarii, even though they've moved, proved their worth and scored 2 wounds on the Scorpic Destroyers thanks to the plasma. The intercessors here had 4 guys in range of heavy bolt pistols at the Spider, but didn't really do anything, sadly. And over here we've killed, wounded 3, but only killed 2 Necron warriors, and a combination of plasma and Serpentia shots. So now on to the Imperium's charge phase. Okay, end of Imperium, turn 4, and the Dominus killed 3 of the warriors, but that lone little warrior managed to get back up even though he failed his save from the Cataphron. And I've just realised I forgot to do the flamer shots, so that could have actually done some more damage. Okie dokie, I'll remember that for next time if that little warrior is still alive. But moving on to Necron turn 4. End of the Necron shooting phase. I forgot to cover the movement phase, but all it was the Auspex moved out and around the containers. Shooting phase is just the Destroyer Lord shooting with his Enigmatic Annihilator, killing 6 out of the 8 Skitarii. So now they're just going to have to either decide to run away or die horribly. Other than that, not a lot has happened elsewhere. So moving on to the charge and fight phase. End of Necron's turn 4. And there, the Skitarii didn't last 5 minutes. The Auspex cut through them like a hot knife through butter. And I realised that that poor little warrior over there wouldn't have survived last turn because it would have been his unit wiped out, so his reanimations wouldn't have kicked in. So he survived an extra turn just out of pure dumb luck, really. But he died to the Cataphron twice over. So the Necrons are only 1 point behind, but in turn 5 things are about to change better for the Imperium, as we're going to have 2 units completing the action, so we're going to get a few extra points. So here we go then for the final turn. Moving then into turn 5, the 5th and final turn, the Necrons are going to Protocol of the Hungry Void, so the not needed, but the extra armor penetration on the melee attacks. The Skitarii are going to Incantation of the Iron Soul, so we get ignoring minuses on combat attrition tests, and we also get a 5+ ignore on mortal wounds. And the Skitarii are dead, so they don't need to worry. The Miracle Dice, amount of normal dice, is a 2. And now we are scoring ourselves 10 points for holding 2 objectives. That puts us to 33. And then we score 3 points for completing the action, putting us to 36. So it's going to be a pretty much Imperium victory because the Necrons aren't going to be able to catch up to that unless they can slay the Warlord. But as both Warlords are playing themselves as a rather defensive tactic, I don't think anyone's going to get that anyway. But here we go then with the Imperium turn 5. So end of the Imperium's movement phase, and the aggressors, Assault Intercessors, Captain and Lieutenant have moved out to deal with the Scorpion Destroyers, while the Battle Sisters have just fallen back ready to recount their losses. And over here the Mechanicum have stayed still pretty much ready to shoot up the Immortals with the Plasma. So moving on to the shooting phase. End of the shooting phase, the Space Marines managed to kill a single destroyer with overwhelming shots. Most of the damage came from the overcharged plasma pistol from the sergeant of the squad there. And the Battle Sisters here managed to put a single wound thanks to bolt guns. I dropped 2 miracle dice to make sure they auto-wound. But they've done some damage and it's going to help the Space Marines out. Over here we killed only a single immortal. They had 5 up invulns, which they passed 1 of, and then they had a 4 up get back up. So yeah, there's not a lot changed over there. But the Cataphron got 6 shots of his plasma, so that's pretty cool. Moving on to the charge phase, it's only going to be really the Space Marines into the Scorpic Destroyers to hopefully chop them up. That's the end of Imperium turn 5, and the Scorpex are no more. The Assault Intercessors, even with all their rerolls, didn't do much in the way of damage, and even though the Scorpex intercepted the Captain, they only managed to do 2 wounds, as he managed to tank a lot of his Invuln saves, especially the ones from the Harvester. The Freshers were the only ones that got a single attack through, so that turned to 2 wounds, but the Captain survives either way. And looking at the scores here, yeah, the Necrons aren't going to make 11 points. Because, well, they're not going to make 14 points. They'll make 11, and that's about it. So I think that'll be the end of the game. I mean, the only thing that we could do is try and get Slay the Warlord for the Scorpic there, so I might play that out. But, so yeah, here we go with the Necrons, turn 5. And their only chance at victory. And in a devastating turnaround, the Captain failed his saves. I had no command points left to make any rerolls or drop any stratagems to save him. So sadly, the Necrons have slain the enemy Warlord, which puts them to 39 to 36, making them the winners, even though, well, I think the piles of the dead are pretty much even. I mean, the Immortals over there didn't take much damage, thanks to buffing and standing still. So yeah, even with failing to do the objectives and scoring points early on, the Necrons have emerged victorious. So there we have it. That was the battle report for Imperium 67. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this awesome battle. Please do let me know if I made any mistakes. I think I made a few, but I managed to correct myself as much as I can. But yeah, that was a really fun game, and we got another big battle coming up in issue 68. So I'm off to edit this, then start filming issue 68, ready so I can start building 68, and then I've got to paint him in a couple of days and hope to get this game done at the weekend. Ready for me to hopefully catch up. So I'd like to take this chance to thank you all for watching. Be sure, of course, to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more mad content. So I'll see you next time. Goodbye.